All right, welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. Someone
What
messed with
happened
our
to our
settings.
song?
Someone messed with our settings, so we don't have an intro video tonight. But actually, here we go.
Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole Sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole Sideline 365.
All right, we are back with
What the hell
you.
happened? Where's our
someone-
technical guy? I want
Yeah.
him fired. Fired.
Welcome back to Seminole
Fired.
Sideline 365. I'm KB, the old man is with me, and we have a lot to go over tonight. Obviously,
Woo!
we have a couple of final resting thoughts from the Wake Forest game that we want to, I know the old man wants to talk about. Then we'll go right into Clemson and I can't say it's a big matchup because both teams are way below
And
what
Big
people
Mike
expect.
Barrett makes it into the queue #1. Everybody
Good
else
to-
must be asleep.
Good to see you, Mike. Thanks for joining us. And thank everyone who's
All right.
either watching this live or watching it recorded. We appreciate you.
We're keeping stats on you, #1 guys in the queue. I got the stats. Some night I'm going to put them up.
But yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about a little bit of Wake Forest. Obviously, talk about the Clemson matchup and who's there and what to watch out for. And then we have some kind of college football playoff stuff to talk about. Obviously, Florida State's not in contention, but there's a lot of controversy that relates back to Florida State when they got snubbed and the trends and the themes that are still coming to play today in the ACC for the ACC in general. So we'll go into that, and then the other news, we'll kind of talk about the end here. So stick with us, stay with those topics, and let us know in the chat if you have any comments or feedback, or even if you disagree with us on anything that we're talking about. So
Disagree with us? How could you disagree with non-experts who basically don't have a lot of sources? But I don't think anybody else in the FSU media has any sources, right?
yeah, I don't think there's
Don't get me going on that. I mean, this is like Watergate. Do you remember Watergate? Most of our viewers probably don't even know what the hell Watergate was during Richard Nixon's administration. Look it up. It was huge. And sources were leaking stuff. Florida State's in a Watergate, and we get no leaks. We have no sources. FSU media to ask softball questions. They can't even get good answers. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. So,
Hey,
so yeah.
by the way, so people kind of flood in a little bit. You want to hear my horror story at Walmart? I thought I was having a senior moment. I swear to God. I go into Walmart yesterday to pick up some survival groceries, right? And I got my little cart, and I usually park it out of the way so it's not interfering with other people. I parked it over by the ham section, and then I go down in the aisle to pick up some stuff, right? To pick up some stuff, and then I come back. So I go down, I pick up my stuff, I come back. I'm looking around. Where the hell is my basket? My first thought was, well, maybe I put it over here or I put it over there. I swear, I thought I had dementia, Alzheimer's all in one moment, right then and there. I can't find my damn basket. I'm looking all over, and it's half filled with stuff, and I'm looking around, can't find it anywhere. I'm trying to not look too obvious, like I lost my child or something like that. And thank God I didn't leave anything of value in it. That's a lesson for everybody. Finally, I walk.
Can you defuse that bomb that's going off in your house right now, please?
No, that's my watch. I couldn't hear it with this. So I go over. I said, this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm going over to the customer service Walmart. I go over to Walmart customer service. This very nice lady, I think her name was Millie. Millie goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah." Something happened to my shopping cart, or I had a senior moment, one or the other. And she goes, "Oh, let me help you." So we go back over. Make a long story short, she goes, "Oh, it could happen." I said, "Could I see the security tapes? I'd like to start seeing what happened." She goes, "No, I'm sorry, we can't do that." That was sad. We go back over. We're looking up and down aisles, and I said, "There it is. There it is," because it had a Tony's Pizza in it, and I could tell that was my basket. She goes, "It happens all the time."
By mistake or just
by mistake or by comedic action? I don't know. Okay. Somebody pushed this thing way from the ham counter. That's my story from yesterday.
Well, thank you for that.
So what is the lesson? What is the lesson? Always keep your hands on your cart. And the second lesson, don't put any valuables sitting in there. That would have been, I would have been really crazy. Okay, that's me.
Thanks for that dramatic retelling of your Walmart encounter.
I feel better. I'm a sweaty mess.
All right. So with that being said, we just want to recap a couple of things for the Wake Forest game. Obviously, we did our post-game reaction. So if you haven't watched that yet, go ahead and watch that. We did that Saturday night, obviously, after that big win. But obviously we covered a lot of the good stuff. There's a lot of good things, obviously, that came out of that blowout. Florida State was explosive offense. They were complementary football, defense, offensively, played off each other very well. Be able to cause, get on the positive side of turnovers, play clean football, pretty clean in terms of penalties, and you're able to capitalize off of a lot of their mistakes as well, which is, going to be a lot of the same themes going into Clemson. You were also able to convert on the downs you need to convert. You're able to get to the ball to your key playmakers like Deuce Robinson, and Tommy had a very, very good game. So, those are the key things, obviously, we talked about on Saturday night. But I think one of the key themes we also saw was the backup quarterback situation, and people were going crazy on Twitter. I was one of them. I didn't tweet about it, but was talking about it was in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter. Obviously, the game was a blowout, so they took Tommy out, which was a smart move. But they brought in Brock Glenn with kind of.
I didn't think they took Tommy out soon enough. I would have taken him.
He
out
had one
prior
drive.
To the last
he had
TD
one drive.
Ride. Well, one drive. What happened to Jay Travis? He was in the game too long and he broke his leg.
Well, yeah, guys can get, we saw what happened with the Commanders on, the other night too.
Yeah.
But regardless, he's healthy. He got out healthy. But what we saw is Brock Glenn came in with some of the backups, bad coverage by the O-line. It was a bad coverage by the O-line. He gets in a sack fumble situation. Obviously, Wake Forest takes over. They get their only touchdown of the night. What was surprising was Brock Glenn came in. We've seen Kevin Sperry in backup duty be the number two guy on the depth chart. We see him come in as the number two in the cleanup games. We see him come in when Tommy's been hurt a couple of times as the primary backup. And many were wondering why wouldn't you give him 10, 11 plus minutes in an ACC game against quality competition to run the offense effectively and see, this isn't playing like, Jacksonville, it isn't playing like the cupcakes you were, Kent State and stuff like that. This is a real ACC school with real ACC talent that you could have given him game time reps.
But the game was on.
It's still quality reps. You're still playing against quality competition. And if he can drive the foot, it's still quality reps. It's not playing backups. So that was the question. And I think you and I have, briefly discussed this a little bit, because we were surprised about it. And I think it was, you brought up, the redshirt question is he's played 3 games. You could play up to 4.
I looked it up. Yep.
And that would have hurt it. And I think my interpretation of that is you don't want to waste that 4th game on a blowout because Tommy has been banged up. Tommy has taken his hits. We know, I believe he's probably around 80 or 90% right now. I love the kid. The guy is playing his heart out. I don't think he's fully healthy still. I think you can still see it in some of his plays that he's not full speed, but he looks like he's full speed. But he's getting a lot healthier. I still think he's like 85, 90% around there. But he's one play away, one hit away, one lower body hit away from us needing the backup. And I do believe Kevin Sperry is still our number 2, and they don't want to waste his eligibility, potentially his 4th game under this red shirt, in a blowout against Wake Forest. They may need it against Clemson. They may need it against Florida. And so if they don't have to burn his red shirt in one of these trash games, they don't want to have to do it. They don't want to have to use up those next 2 games of his career or of his red shirt on this game. So that strategically did make sense to me when I stopped and thought about it. I was like, okay, it does make sense not to burn it on a game like this. Put Brock Glenn in, his red shirt's already been used, and just get him in there to run the clock out, essentially. Did you think differently than that? Are we aligned there?
Well, my initial thinking was like yours, like most of the fans. Hey, we want to see Sperry. He's really the future, potentially the future. And I wonder what happened. Then, I think it was Sunday or Monday, I started thinking about it a little bit more. I said, well, you know what? They may be trying to protect him since he didn't get used that much this year. They think he fits his system well. And so I kind of looked into it, and I did confirm you can play up to 4 games, up to and through 4 games. And then you can still, if you don't play more than 4, he only has 3, as you said. He has 1 left in the bag. And that means even if you go in for 1 play, if you go in for 1 play, you burn that game. Okay. So you can't have like Tommy's helmet fly off and they say, hey, Sperry, go in there, without thinking, he would burn a game. So I started thinking about that. I communicated a little bit with you on that. And I said, yeah, I think this is probably the reason. And I think it's a good reason. Why burn this guy's year? And I think they probably have talked this over with him and his parents and his agent or whoever the hell he has. And they probably said, if you don't need him, if Tommy doesn't get injured and you need a quarterback for 3 games, the remaining of the schedule, we're good with that. We're good with that. We'll do what the team needs, but we're good with it if you don't need him. No, you've got Brock Glenn. Brock Glenn's won an ACC championship. Well, the defense kind of won the ACC championship. But this year is lost. You already said that, which is true. This year
I didn't say it's lost. I just said you're not going to hit your ultimate goal. You're not hitting your ultimate goal.
Well, you're not hitting any goals unless we get to a bowl game of the Pop-Tart Bowl or something like that. What we're trying to do now is just consistently compete and win games, okay? But I'm not going to burn one of my future prospects on that situation. I'm not going to do that. You might do that. Someone else might do that, but I'm not going to do that. So I think that's what it is to without. Now, it came up earlier in the week at one of the pressers with Norvell. He kind of word salad the whole answer. I think I said that to you. Kind of word salad the whole answer. Oh, we got 2 very valuable backups and everything's situational because the question was asked to him by one of the leading media guys. And I thought it was a good question. I sent a note to the media guy who asked it. It's a very good question, very relevant question and well phrased. And Norvell, and I said Norvell's answer was not a good one. It was just word salad. He didn't commit to anything like you just said. He didn't come out saying, wow, we're trying to protect Sperry as much. He wants to keep the advantage of they have to prepare for different quarterbacks and all this other crap, which I don't think they're doing anyways. They're preparing for probably just for Tommy Castellanos, Clemson is. But I think that's where we are with Sperry, and that's probably a good thing. Now, let me throw this monkey wrench in because I think it's appropriate right now. All right. Another leading FSU media guy, I heard him say today that he thinks the Gus Malzahn is a 1-year guy. Any way this cuts, if we win all 3 games, if we lose the next 3 or 4 games, he believes that Gus Malzahn is a 1-year deal and he's going to be done. And then he kind of used the word, we tried that experiment, it didn't work. And I'm going like, what the hell are you talking about? Gus has the number 1 total offense in the country right now. Look it up. Make sure I'm right. Any fans out there or whatever, you can look it up. the number one offense in the country, total yards, all this other crap. And I'm going like, he has significantly improved this offense. No matter what our record is, we've won 2 more games than we did previously in the previous year. But nobody can criticize. You might criticize the way he runs this offense or the type of offense, the RPO, and that we have a quarterback who is not an elite passer. You might criticize that, but you can't criticize the statistics.
Florida State's 7th. They're 7th in yards per game.
Okay, well, total offense, I saw we're number 1. There's a stat I saw we're number 1 offensively in the country. Okay.
I don't know where your stats are from.
Well, I maybe I'll pull it up when you're talking. But what I'm saying is, would you have to agree that our offense is significantly improved?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
You would have to be a blind and deaf person to
not
have seen last year to not believe that. Like,
so
that's stupid question.
Back to even if you throw out the cupcakes, Corey Hall saying number 1 because of 2 cupcakes. Everybody has cupcakes on their schedule. Everybody has that. Even if you throw those out, we're going to be in the top 10 for sure. For sure. Okay. So I don't understand what this leading guy who's well known, he's been around a long time. All right. I'm not going to mention his name, but he kind of got this thing like, well, if Gus goes, Sperry will probably leave. So it kind of brings me back to Kevin Sperry, that he would probably leave. Why the hell would you want to get rid of Gus unless Norvell leaves? If Norvell leaves, Gus is gone. Tony White may be gone. Who the hell knows? But if Mike Norvell survives, which I don't believe he will, and I don't believe he should, and he's not the future face of this program. But if he were to survive, why wouldn't he want Gus back again? He would have to go get someone to fit his system. He'd have to play Kevin Sperry or go
where
get
are you
somebody.
Getting this? I don't get where this theory
I'm
of
telling you,
Gus. Where
I'm
Facebook? Is that where you're getting this? I've not seen this anywhere.
You know who said this? You know
who?
I'm not going to mention his name because I'm not going to put him on the hot seat. But you know him well. You listened to his podcast. You once said he's one of the most credible guys. All right. Okay. Well, and I'll send it to you after the show. I'm not going to do it.
Why? Let's play the clip. Like, if you have the clip.
No. I'm not
okay, then I'll address it because you've talked for a while about this one point. I understand it. I don't think
do you think Gus has been a failure?
No, but it's a very niche offense, and the offense can be learned by defenses. And there's a reason why Gus Malzahn hasn't necessarily been always successful as a head coach, and I think he does work better as a coordinator.
He's always had good,
but they don't always win games either. They do get stalled. They don't produce every single game, and in big games they can be stalled, and they don't always execute in the right areas when they need to. And I think that's where people get frustrated because sometimes, and you've complained about it this season, where sometimes they get too
razzle-dazzle.
Exactly, and then they get shut down, and that's what people don't like. And so maybe the point of you being mysterious about who's saying this is that what they're saying is that you have to find the right type of players to fit this type of offense. You need a mobile quarterback. You need certain types of receivers who are willing to block downfield. You need a mobile offensive line. You need a lot of things to make this offense work effectively in an elite way. But also, it is prone to defenses can learn it. It's not a typical, straightforward spread, or you can't get a pocket passer or like it is hard you have to get certain players to execute it. And so I don't agree. I don't think that they would just throw Gus away. I would be more worried that Gus would go maybe find a new, if he really wanted to coach again. There's plenty of job openings. You could maybe apply for one of those jobs.
And it may be his wife has some medical issues going on, which is, private information out there. That could be a factor because when he left UCF, that was a probable factor as well. He was just going to retire.
Yeah. So I don't think, I think that's a bigger risk factor of him just wanting to go away to take care of family, or I think he is just better as a coordinator. I think that's what he's good at. That's what he enjoys. And there's a lot of coaches that are just better as coordinators. Like take Dan Quinn, who's the Commanders coach. he's much better when he's a coordinator. He's not good as the head coach of a team. There's many people, or Cliff Kingsbury, not a good head coach, better as an assistant. Many coaches are better as coordinators because they can just focus at what they're good at versus trying to focus on everything at the same time. And that could be Mike Norvell's case too. But no, I don't think if this season, this season isn't, the results this season aren't because of Gus Malzahn. Like you said, he's turned around an offense that was stagnant and couldn't operate moving the football at all.
We couldn't even score any touchdowns.
And was in the bottom 20 of total yardage, and now we're in the top 10. So,
and by the way, we should bring up Herb Hand's name. I think, and you sent something. I don't know if you're going to flash it up or not, but Herb Hand, I think, has done a pretty damn good job. I think he's done a pretty damn good job with a bunch of new guys up there on the line, which they got out of the portal.
Yeah.
And I don't see why those two guys would go away if Norvell comes back. It's going to be an automatic.
But I don't understand what that means. What would happen? He would just replace them with new people? Like, I don't understand what that means. If
Norvell goes away, if he gets fired, of course, you come in. You're going to bring your guys in. You're not going to keep Gus Malzahn.
But if he's coming back,
White, if he's
you're talking about Bud Elliott. Let's just say you're talking about Bud Elliott, and he said this. Is that what you're saying? He said that Mike Norvell, if he is retained, he's going to get rid of Gus Malzahn.
That's the kind of way I heard it. Yeah.
Then just say. I mean, I respect Bud Elliott, but if that's what he's saying, but that was
respect Bud too.
Is that what he said?
I don't want to misquote.
Then you should have came with a source. You should have came with a clip. I don't understand why you wouldn't have come with a clip.
I didn't have time. Listen.
You're retired. All you do is halftime.
Oh, that's not true. Did you see all the yard work I was doing?
All you do is halftime.
Okay. Oh, listen. I didn't. I don't. I think, and people can go listen to Bud Elliott. Make sure that that's what I got out of it.
I don't think
and it was one of his latest, the latest episode ever. But I think, and they have a very good show. I like their show, and I respect Bud a lot because he's been around a long time, and he tells it like it is. He's not selling you anything. He tells it like he feels in the way he sees it. That's the impression I got. Maybe I misinterpreted it.
I think you did.
But maybe I was dehydrated after brushing up all my yard debris.
How about this? For next show, you come back with what you heard in the clip, and you show it.
Okay, maybe I'll
Why don't we do that?
Maybe I'll do that. But I guess the bottom line is this way. If Norvell were to be retained, would you retain Gus Malzahn if he's willing to do it?
Yes.
Would you?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
yes.
so.
It would be stupid to start from ground zero again.
That's exactly right. That would be my point. So I would think, you would want to bring him back for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. So, it would make, but come back next show.
I'll do my homework. Is that my homework?
Yes, that is your homework. All right, let's talk about Clemson. Obviously, a matchup that is unlike previous matchups, as this is kind of the first year in a while where the matchup really doesn't have any kind of complication on the ACC title game. Usually it's either Clemson or Florida State or both that are this is a game that complicates that game or leads the ACC title game for either program or, like I said, both. And this is the first time, I believe, in 15 years that both teams are coming into this contest unranked, or neither of them being ranked, which is tough to see for both, because obviously when Clemson's good and Florida State's good, it's good for the conference. And so it's tough. Obviously Death Valley, 7 o'clock Eastern, ACC Network. First time in a while that this game has been on the ACC Network.
Are we going to be able to watch it? Are we going to be able to watch it? It's on ESPN, owns ACC Network, right?
Not if you're on YouTube TV. So make plans accordingly for it.
Everybody needs to look. Everybody needs to find a way to do it.
Yeah, find a way accordingly.
Should I tell you how to do it?
No, don't.
Oh, now you don't want me to tell them how to do it.
Let's not talk about it. But I think
I'll put it out in a note.
This is going to be an interesting matchup. Like I've said, Clemson is a team that is reeling. Similar to like Florida State was. And in some ways still is. Florida State obviously has bounced back with the big win against Wake Forest. But we don't know how much of that is is Wake Forest team that beat themselves a lot. and Florida State was able to execute. How much of that is the bye week and being able to recoup and get realigned and refocused. And I think this week is going to be a big testament to that. Because like you said, going into Clemson's never going to be easy. It'll be interesting to see what that crowd looks like, especially in Death Valley, because they have struggled at home, obviously being 3-5. But is it going to be the Death Valley we're expecting? I would expect it as a night game. It's going to be pretty packed. But coming off a 46-45 loss to Duke, in a shootout, and that defense, which is usually the kind of the backbone of a Dabo Swinney team, getting kind of just run up on all game by Mensa and that offense of Duke is not something you see every day. And then to lose that game, basically at the buzzer, giving up 11 points in the fourth, and being behind in the first quarter, 21-7, it's not something that Clemson fans are used to seeing. So
No,
this is going to be, and honestly, it's hard for me to predict what this game's going to look like, because obviously,
I'm going to tell you what it's going to look like.
Let me go through.
It's going to be a fist fight, super competitive, and I expect a close game, a very close game.
Yeah, it's going to absolutely, and that's what the betting line is. It's
Minus
2 points, I
minus
believe.
2.5 for Clemson.
Yeah, and that's basically because the home field advantage. They're giving that too.
Didn't I tell you the home field advantage means a lot? You disagreed
But statistically,
with me last
Clemson's
time.
played worse at home this year. So honestly, it doesn't mean a lot.
care.
But I mean, they played worse at home this year.
Yeah,
But
actually, yeah.
but looking at the stats, this is not a Clemson team we're used to seeing. Offensively, rushing, they can't rush the ball effectively. 109th in rushing. Passing, you have
124 yards a game.
Yeah, Klubnik. He's still. We have to respect his ability. He hasn't been
96 a game.
He's been. He's early Heisman contender. That train is dead. That train is off. But this is a guy that can still throw on you when he wants to. Completing almost 68% of his passes, 13 touchdowns, almost 2,000 yards. This is a kid that if they're missing him, it hurts even more for them. But this is a guy that can chew you up if you give him
And
time
he's
to throw the
efficient
ball.
with his passes, 67%.
That's what I just said that.
You did?
Yep. And then defensively, like I said, this is a team that's been hot and cold defensively. They have 2 first rounders, potentially 2 top 3 rounders on their defensive line, but passing wise, they're giving up a ton of yards, almost 250 yards per game passing wise. Rushing defense is better, and that's where this is going to be a clash of the Titans, so to speak.
Yes.
Florida State wants to impose the running game. Florida State needs to impose the running game to set up the play action pass. In Clemson, that's where they think they excel with Peter Woods and co. On the defensive line, and they want to stall out their running game and make Florida State become predictable, make Tommy force him to pass from the pocket and force him to be uncomfortable.
You know what's funny
back
about that though? They want to force him to pass, but Clemson's secondary against Duke sucked.
Yeah,
and Dabo called out the entire secondary in his post-game presser, because I watched it, like the one against Duke. He said, somebody asked him about the secondary. He goes, yeah, secondary basically said sucked. That's not verbatim, but he called out the secondary. He said they're not playing up to the standard. Okay?
I mean, they did. They did suck, and he's right for, and I give him credit for saying that. I give him credit for saying that.
And he also called out that entire defense on the field during the game. He was ranting and raving, and I'm telling you, this team is not going to be easy to beat. They are going to be fired up. The crowd is going to be hostile as shit. That place will be packed, and I expect the Noles will have to play better than they played against Wake Forest. Okay.
Yeah, and looking at
fucking dominated, but we're going to have to play better. Clemson has a better team despite their record. Their coaching is better. They have a solid head coach, Dabo Swinney. I don't like Dabo that much, but he is solid. He's won a national championship or 2. Is it 2, I think? 2. And he's won ACC championships. He's a hell of a football coach. And as he said himself, if I'm not coaching at Clemson, I'll be coaching somewhere else. And he's damn right. And he may be trying to force them to fire him so he can get a buyout and go elsewhere. I tell you what, I I want to believe the Seminoles going to win this game. I hope they win this game. And if they do win this game, I'm going to be watching Dabo's post-game presser.
Yeah. No, all good points there. And just looking up the player grades here of Clemson, you can like you pointed out, their secondary has really struggled. I mean, they don't have in their the two free safety and safety all out of the top 600 in terms of grades. They've struggled this year. Terrell is one of their best at the cornerback position, but their defensive secondary is very susceptible, and that does very much play into the favor of Florida State if they can give Tommy time. This should be a game in which Deuce Robinson, we've seen him have 150-yard games, multiple of those, right? He's had major, including at Wake Forest.
And
I was just going to say,
number 2 leading receiver on this football team.
Say Dancy, he should be able to, he's got the most speed on the team, and he should be able to break over the top multiple times. They're not going to be able, and that's the thing when you have 2 proven receivers, they can't cover both, right? And they're not going to be able to send resources on both sides of the field. So they're going to have to guard both evenly. This could be a game where a guy like Squirrel White has a big game. A guy underneath who, because if everyone's looking deep on Deuce Robinson and Danzy, does Squirrel White break out in kind of that slot role underneath and because of his speed?
Or Lucas. Doesn't he catch passes?
I want the guy that we brought in for a lot of money, most likely, and Squirrel White to fucking do something. But I'm saying if we're looking for a breakout game outside of week 1 for Squirrel White, this could be it. This could be one of those games where we say, let's test the secondary of Clemson. If we get the running game going early, and I expect to see an early load of Sam Singleton. I expect Sam Singleton to carry his hot hand forward and get the touches to begin with. If we can get that going
Norvell
early.
was not showing his hand on who the running back's going to be. He goes, I love Sam Singleton. He's one of the best human beings ever. And he's good whether he gets 1 carry or he gets 25. So that was his answer. Yeah.
But it would be a great time for Squirrel White to break out in a game like this while we're testing him over the top and get on the. It also could be another big game for Randy Pittman. We haven't seen him statistically have a big game.
Right.
So, but we see his little impacts. It was the run, direct snap last week where he was at the 7. They gave it to him and he broke tackles and just bullied Wake Forest into the end zone. I would love to see him get 75 yards, have a big tight end reception game because I know he's possible of it. So I just think there's going to be a lot of open space and test these linebackers. These linebackers aren't the typical. They haven't performed like the typical Clemson linebackers this year. So I would test them in space and see if they can keep up with some of those weapons we have.
Now that brings up a point. Why you catch your breath here. When you said test the linebackers, I believe our linebackers are going to get a big test. And let me tell you why, KB. Let me tell you why. Because of a guy named Adam Randall. He's the leading running back for Clemson. Adam Randall. He's got 101 carries. He's got 522 yards, 5.2 average, which is pretty damn good. Okay, pretty good. All right, take off a point, make it 4.2 for the cupcakes they've played. That's always good. But he's caught the ball 25 times for 192 yards. So that tells me they're going to try to isolate where teams have had favorable results against some of our linebackers and or stretch the field side to side. Now, the other thing is they can use him obviously in screen passes, which cuts down the pressure. If they're getting a lot of pressure, Dabo said this. He said Manny Diaz came after his quarterback, and we tried to use a lot of screens. So the Noles, and I assume they have somebody on their staff who looks at what these coaches say after games during the week. He said we used a lot of screens to slow down that rush, which is pretty common football knowledge. But watch out for Adam Randall, a dual threat.
Yeah, and Randall's a converted receiver to running back, which is why his hands are so good.
Good hands.
Yeah, so he's got good hands. He's also very explosive. I mean, they didn't even use him a lot last week to catch the ball. He just ran it pretty efficiently, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns along 17. But you also have to look at just their other core receiver, Williams, who's just a beast. Antonio Williams is just a beast in himself. He's not a huge guy. He's only 5'11", but
Got
he's a known
367 yards.
yeah, he's a known commodity. He can have big games. He had a big game last week. He's a guy that he's already going to be on the radar.
Explosive.
But to your point with Randall, even though he didn't have a big game last week, he is that hybrid type player that we've seen Florida State struggle with against Pitt, against Virginia. These type of players have eaten up Florida State this defense because our linebackers aren't that athletic. They're not, especially in this 3-3-5. They have trouble covering space, open space, and they have trouble keeping up with the running back if the pressure isn't there. If the pressure can't break down the quarterback and make it uncomfortable, if that quarterback's able to put the ball in the money for the running back and he's in space, that linebacker's not catching up with them.
Yeah, and if they guess right on offense, if Clemson guesses right offensively, and they know one of our linebackers is going to be shooting a gap and rushing a quarterback, and they can get that running back out in that open area in a quick pass, that could be a problem.
This is going to be a rough game if Florida State, if we can't keep or if we can't keep Randall under 50 yards receiving. If Adams able to have the day and I forget the Pitt running back's name, that guy had a field day all over the field. If we can't keep Randall under 50 yards receiving, I see this game could be a 14-point plus game because it becomes a shootout. Not to say we can't win a shootout, but Florida State's going to have to be able to get off the field. I don't want this to be a shootout,
just like last week.
But we haven't won many. We haven't won any of the shootouts we've been in. No, last week wasn't a shootout. It was a blowout. It was a blowout.
It was a Duke.
No, I mean for Florida State. But Florida State hasn't won a shootout yet.
No.
We've lost those games.
Well,
we don't want to be in a shootout, in my opinion. We need to play complementary football. Yeah,
now,
we need to play complementary football.
Here's something in our favor. Clemson's only converting about 36% of their third downs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
they are. Yeah, you're struggling there.
That they're struggling there despite some offensive positive things they have going on. They're struggling on third down conversions. We must get off the field to rest the defense and give the ball over to Castellanos and company. That's going to be very important. Now, we talked about a couple of the receivers there. There's some other guys on this team that can catch the ball. All right. They're wide receivers. Antonio Williams, he's got 33 catches for almost 370 yards. You got Bryant Wesco Jr., he's got 31 catches for 537 yards. And TJ Moore, 28 catches for almost 500 yards. They spread the ball out, and you throw Randall's name in there, they're throwing the ball around. So, and right now, statistically, Clemson is throwing the ball more than they're running the ball. Now, that may be because they've been playing from behind in a lot of games. That can account for that. But and Klubnik can be a little inconsistent. And I hope he's inconsistent as hell on Saturday night. But we have to be prepared for a lot of balls in the air.
Yeah, and you talked about them struggling with third down conversion. Their defense is only giving up 32% on third down as well. So this is something Florida State in their losses has struggled with, is converting the big drive, staying on the field, controlling time of possession. I think this is one of those games, and I said I don't want this game to be a shootout. I don't want this to be a Duke versus Clemson game. This defense, I feel like this offense, I think there is going to be explosive plays, and they obviously need to finish those explosive plays with touchdowns, not field goals. But I don't want this to turn into a 45-46 game because we haven't won those games this year. Against UVA, we haven't closed those out well. I want this defense to be able to get the third down stops, give the ball back to the offense go down and score like they did last week, because they are capable of doing it. We saw that. Now, it won't be as easy, in my opinion, against a Clemson team that has many more weapons, especially offensively. But offensively, to do that, it's really going to be on this offensive line again. This offensive line is going to have to stand up against the guys like Peter Woods, and co. Really against his defensive line. Those two guys on the defensive line, who we talked about, it'll be interesting to see because this offensive line has been given their props as, the 10th highest graded offensive line in the country, and people can debate that if they think that's true or not, based on what they watch. But Parker and Woods are the two guys, are, like I said, top 3-round projected guys in the NFL. Now, have they always played like that?
Yeah.
No, they haven't always played like that. They haven't been physically dominating every play. But they are, top 100 graded type guys, and physically they're built like NFL players. And when they want to, they can get to the quarterback. So it's going to be on Gunnar Hansen and Medley, and it's great that we have these a lot Pettis back, especially Pettis. I think when he is on the line, this line plays a whole lot better. But it's going to really come down to how consistently can they keep those guys out of the backfield, because we do not. And I know Tommy does a great job of making, when he's scrambling, to make plays out of nothing and get 3 or 4
yards. He's the second leading rusher on this team.
Doesn't surprise me.
Tommy
doesn't surprise me. But we don't want him having to put his head down and run, right? We've seen a couple of games where the pressure has been, he may have not been sacked, but it's backing up. So he starts to put his head down and start to force the run. And those end in 0 yards or -1 or 1 yard, and that just makes second longer or third longer on the drive, and then we end up punting. We want, like last week, where you hold the pocket, get fourth, hold the pocket and let him deliver to Deuce Robinson and let Robinson make an unbelievable catch, or get an easy on first down, get 4 or 5 yards, make it a manageable second down, open up the entire playbook for you, and go ahead and convert. Like, that's where we need, not just for the passing game, but for the run game. This line has to open up the holes so that the running backs can make a drive, make a quick gap and go through the gap and get 4 or 5 yards. It's really going to see how consistent they can be.
Penalties. We can't hurt ourselves with penalties. We can't hurt ourselves with turnovers. We must create turnovers like we did against Wake Forest. If we really look at that Wake Forest game, the penalties and turnovers killed Wake Forest. There's no way they were going to win that game. Probably the score might have been, something different. But with that many turnovers and that many penalties, they deserve to get beat up by that score. I mean, it's just no way. No team can survive those types of mistakes. And the Noles have been doing pretty good on that front so far.
Not turnovers, though. I mean, the turnovers, one was self-imposed. They fumbled it on their own on the goal line. The QB hurry in the interception was later in the game, which the game was already pretty much out of hand. Yeah. But I agree with you. The forced fumble, they recovered. Those will start going your way. I agree with you. Against Wake Forest, they made a more concerted effort to try to force more turnovers, poke the ball out a couple of times, but they recovered them. The more you do it, eventually it'll bounce your way the right way. It hasn't gone Florida State's way on those fumbles this year. It's a lot of this fumble recovery is luck. It just, the bounce goes one way or the other. It's not skill at that point. But the more you make a concerted effort to try to get the ball out as another guy's tackling them,
the Noles trying to do that. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. So it's not, that's, I want to continue to see that, because I thought they did a great job last week of making a concerted effort to try to force the ball out when they were taking the guy down. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I think so. Listen, this is my thoughts on this. First of all, Wake Forest is not a national power. They're never going to be a national power. They're never going to win a national championship. And the way they played, they deserve to get beat. Okay. The problem is, for this Florida State team, it's a stepping stone to see if we can be consistent. Can we play the same way that we played against Alabama? Can we play the same way against Wake Forest? Can we take it in on the road and play the same type of highly competitive and dominating football against a down and out Clemson team who is not going to give up easily, and they will play to the final end. There's no quit in this Clemson team. Okay, there won't be any quit there. Can Florida State do this? I don't think it's about Mike Norvell coming back or staying or being fired. Those decisions are going to be totally separate and distinct. Can this team, which I don't believe anybody on Florida State's team has quit. I don't believe that as a competitor, and I've competed in different things, not at this level, obviously, but you don't quit. You want to win. You want to do your best. You want to put stuff on tape, whether you're going to go to the next level or you're going to use it to go into the portal. There's going to be a lot of guys on our football team that are going to go into the portal, and we're going to go into the portal to bring guys in. The only way you can evaluate it is by what you see and what you hear. So from that aspect, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting and entertaining football game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I would say the last thing Florida State has to be cognizant of, Klubnik's not a pure runner, but he can run. There's been 3 games this year. He doesn't want to run, but there's been 3 games this year where he's had 50 plus yards of rushing.
Yep.
So you got to still maintain lane priority, lane integrity. And you can't let a 3rd and 5 become an easy scramble for a first down. So you got to get him to the ground, collapse the pocket effectively, but you can't let him just walk for walk.
Oh, no. He'll take those 5-6 yards. If those linebackers are backing off and dropping into zones, he's going to take those open lanes.
Yeah.
And he'll take the open lanes and get down. And that's smart quarterback play. That's smart quarterback play.
That's one thing that we can't just get too over rushing the quarterback and just giving up that free lane for him to rush. And we've seen that a couple of times.
We lose contain. We can't lose contain. And we need James Williams, who finally showed up last week against Wake Forest. We need James Williams to show up again. We need the Desir twins to show up again. We need Blake Nicholson to show up again. We need all our defensive secondary who have talent to show up again.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And the final note is if you win the turnover battle, you'll have a very, very good chance. When Syracuse beat Clemson by 2 scores in Death Valley, they got 2 turnovers off of them and made them pay for those things.
Exactly.
Syracuse struggled with yardage. They only had 278 yards of pass. They had I think less total yardage than Clemson did. Clemson had a lot of 500 yards of offense but they only scored 21 points because of those turnovers. If Florida State could force turnovers and execute off of those turnovers, you're going to give yourself a very, very good chance of winning this game. And you're going to have the opportunity to score points on this Clemson defense. Like I said, every team this year they face, every quality opponent they face this season has given up a ton of yards, been able to generate a ton of yards. So it's up to this offense to execute properly. No drop passes, no stupid penalties, like you said earlier, and make the block downfield for your rushers, receivers, and block the right guy. No stupid penalty, no stupid holds, no after the fact push in the face. You're gonna get baited. Make the right play. If nothing's there, get down, play for the next play.
Not
everything has to
and then stop.
Nothing has to be, not every play has to be 50 yards. Sometimes I think players try to make too much of a play. And sometimes that's Tommy himself. They try to get too much. Just go down, play for the next play. If they play the smart, they force some turnovers, 1 or 2 turnovers, and then score off of those turnovers, God forbid, I think this can be a good win for Florida State. But like you said, it's going to be competitive
Who
throughout.
Who you picking? And you're picking straight. Don't pick on the points unless you want to do both.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to pick. I'll go ahead and pick Florida State by 3. I picked against us last week and I was wrong. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Florida State by 3 points. I think it'll be It's gonna be a coin flip, honestly, but I'll go Florida State by 3 points.
I think it's going to be highly competitive. I think it's going to be close. I think it could be high scoring based on the 2 defenses. I think if the Noles bring it, okay, and continue to gain momentum, I think they could win this in a close score. Yeah. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Clemson win it because there's so much on the line for Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney,
There's a lot on the line for both coaches.
No, I know. But at home again, if he loses another home game to a struggling Florida State team, that could be the final nail that gets him bought out of the situation there, and they send him packing. This guy, I watched his stuff this week. He is highly charged up, highly emotional, and you know, he's going to be ready for this battle. I'll take the Noles in a close one as well on the road, which then complicates Florida State's search or non-search for coaches.
For sure.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, it should be a highly competitive game. Both teams have a lot to play for, obviously, especially for their head coaches. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, ACC Network, 7:00. We'll see you guys there after the game for the post-game react on that one.
The other thing, let me ask you this, KB. What do you think of that Sling Day Pass? I was reading reviews on that thing where you can get a day pass for 24 hours, I think it is, for like $6-7. And some people were saying they liked it. Some people were saying in their comments that it was buffering all the time. They couldn't get hooked up. Have you heard anything?
I've seen people advertise for it like 5 days, but $5. I'm like,
Sling's really been pushing out the marketing on it.
Obviously, yes, they should, but I feel dirty paying $5 just to watch a day of college football.
Why dirty?
I just feel stupid.
It would cost you $500 to go to the damn game. If I know that shit works and I can't find the game anywhere else, I'll pay $7. I'll pay $10. You pay money to watch UFC or whatever. It's a deal. It's a deal. I wish we could have a la carte all the time across the board. $10, you can get any game you want. Christ, it costs you hundreds of dollars to go to a football game this year.
I don't know. But if it works for people, go ahead.
I'm not recommending it, folks. I'm saying I don't know if it's good or it's not good. If anybody out there has used the Day Pass, Sling Day Pass, let us know. Otherwise, there are other alternatives to kind of look at, but you're going to have to find them yourselves out there. They pop up sometimes. Sometimes they don't pop up. You can go to the FSU Game Day app, and you can listen to the game like I used to back in the 60s on my little transistor radio, pull up my little antenna, like the old days. There's ways to hear this game.
All right, so we'll wrap that up there. Final topic we want to address tonight is obviously last night. It doesn't affect either Clemson or Florida State.
Let me ask one other thing.
God, yes.
Tell me if this is meaningful. The power ratings by ESPN, are they the only one that does it? Maybe everybody does it. Shit, if I know. They have Florida State number 24 and Clemson number 37.
I've seen the FPI. I don't really care.
Does that shit? Yeah, I'm just.
Who cares? Who cares? You either win or you lose. You either win or you lose.
That's
That's all that matters.
Florida State. Well, that's right. You win or you lose.
You either win or you lose. Florida State's, hasn't won. So what is this?
Let's go to those playoff rankings. First,
yeah, so
this is the first look. Yep.
Yeah, the playoff rankings came out last Sunday or Monday?
Sunday night. Yeah, ESPN had a big thing which I didn't watch.
Oh no, it came out November 4th. Or these are the rankings. So here you are. Obviously, you got your top 10 here. Some controversy over who made it, who didn't. Obviously, Miami fans.
Top 12.
Oh, top 12. Yeah, Miami is obviously upset that they're 18 here, and Notre Dame's number 10. Well, because they beat.
Yeah, let's discuss Notre Dame. I think they get a lot of favoritism just for their name. 100%. I really do. If you look at their schedule and the 2 losses and you mesh it all together, I think they get that because of their fan turnout. They're willing to travel. And this is a business, let's face it. And if they get a home game out of that, that'd be, they'll pack the stadium. That's big time money. And they're one of these favorites. They're like the New York Yankees or the LA Dodgers, it's like the Lakers or the Celtics. It's that type of thing, I believe. I think they're a little overrated, and probably that's a little too high for them.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, they've
10.
essentially beat nobody. They've lost to Miami head to head. They lost to Texas A&M head to head. You know, number 10, number 16. And then they play Purdue, Arkansas, fired their coach,
nobody.
Boise State, nobody, NC State, nobody. USC number 20 beat them by 10 at home. Boston College, nobody beat them by 15. Bill O'Brien, they're Bill Boston College 1-8, 1-7. Yeah. So how they climb that high is crazy to believe. After these two losses. I mean, remember early in the season, we had the conversation. Should they were still in the top 25, remember, after these two losses because they were ranked so high.
I know.
And I made the argument that I was okay with them being number 25 after those two losses because they scheduled tough opponents to begin with, and they played them tough. They lost by a combined 4 points, and I was fine with that.
Because it was their first two games, they're giving them a little,
and they weren't being blown out, and I'm fine with that. But for them to climb all the way back up and be rewarded with, the number 10 playoff spot based on what record, and they say it's because of how they're trending. How their play is trending. But their play is trending against shit opponents. Like, it's not like they're playing Alabama, Georgia every week. They're playing Boston College and NC State and Boise State and Arkansas every week. Like, they're trending against minnows. Like, that's what we're talking about here. And I'm not being the Miami defender here. God forsake. They are trending in the wrong direction, just like they do every November. Right. But to compare them and put them 8 slots differently, they beat Notre Dame. They beat South Florida when they were ranked. South Florida's not playing as great anymore. They beat Florida. They scheduled them. They beat us. Now, I would say, Miami fans, you don't really have a lot to talk about either because you aren't playing great and you're losing to, not top 10 teams either. You're not finishing what you started either. So you got rewarded. You were a top 5 team. You were number 2 in the country, I believe, at one point, and then you've lost 2 of 3. So I get why you're mad at Notre Dame, but you also shouldn't be a top 12 team either. Let's get that straight. You're not taking care of your own business. But you are correct. I believe that Notre Dame does get a lot of brand credit, and they get a lot of the media darling, what they bring to the table, money and attention, stuff like that. But this whole committee saying, well, they're trending in the right direction, but against who? Who are they playing? And I see the argument being made by people, and I think
they're going to win out. They're probably going to win out.
Oh, so, they absolutely are.
In that regard, they're going to be in the top 12.
100%.
Unless something really screwy happens.
100%
right?
They are. And with that, people are saying the argument of, should we just stop scheduling?
They don't have a conference championship game to play either.
No.
At the final game, they're just sitting there waiting for everybody to knock each other off.
No,
right?
They play last 4 games are Navy, Pitt, Hughes, and Stanford. Yeah. I mean, if they're really that good, these should be easy. And they'll just cruise. So the argument now people are saying is, why the hell do we schedule these games early if we don't get rewarded for scheduling them early and winning them? When Notre Dame can just lose them and then cruise late.
Get rewarded,
and cruise late. So why does Miami take the risk and schedule them early, beat them,
a lot of
and then
teams,
lose late?
A lot of teams have some of their biggest games on the schedule as the last game,
and that's smart.
Is a conference game usually, or or a championship game. You know what I mean? Like Georgia could be playing I don't know, Alabama. Again, and does that matter? But if it's close, they both get credit. They both move on. But Florida State for many years had to go to Gainesville, or the Gators came to Tallahassee, and a lot of shit was on the line. If you go back and look, and that game Florida State had to win that game to stay highly ranked. It definitely opens up some arguments.
And then the other argument would be for like a team like UVA, who's having their magical season this year.
Yep.
They have 1 loss. And the funny thing about that is they lost to NC State, but remember, that game's not an ACC loss. We all forget about Remember, that was the game. That was an out of conference, non-ACC game. So they have 0 ACC losses right now.
Do you understand that? I don't even understand what the hell happened.
They scheduled them out of conference as a. They scheduled them as.
That?
I don't know, but it's worked out for them.
TV thing? Was that a TV thing?
I think it was because one of their out of conference opponents dropped out, and they were looking to schedule someone, and NC State stepped in, so they were able to schedule them.
It's a non-conference.
But it's worked out because that loss doesn't count against them in conference.
I know.
So it's worked out. But for them, I mean, they're not getting the recency bias. Now, I'll say UVA's schedule isn't tough either.
No.
They beat Stanford
ACC
and Louisville.
Overall is not a power conference this season. It's a jumbled mess is what it is.
It's competitive. It's a competitive conference. I mean,
listen, when you have Miami and you have Florida State historically and you have Clemson not playing well, it's not a great conference, and they're going to pay for that when the final rankings come out for the playoffs.
They would have paid either way, though.
They'll get one in because somebody's going to win the championship game. They'll get one in. I doubt they'll get two in.
But now let's take, for example, I just want to look at that team because SEC definitely gets biased. Let's take Texas A&M is number 3 in the rankings.
They're a good team. They're a good
are they?
Football.
Are they?
They are. Yeah.
Who have they played?
Notre Dame.
But okay, Notre Dame.
They played Florida.
Who's garbage?
They're gonna play
who's garbage?
Florida.
LSU, who's fired their coach. Arkansas, who's fired their coach. Mississippi State, who's not good. Auburn, who's fired their. But they're why are they number 3? Why?
Good, I guess.
Once again, this is the bias where we say the SEC plays this gauntlet of games. They play this gauntlet of games. They play nobody.
Yeah,
and they get the bias at number 3.
No, you're right. But they've been dominating everybody. Look at the scores.
41-40, 16-10 against an Auburn team who's fired their coach. 45-42, who's fired their coach. Dominating? What are we talking about here?
Jesus.
They're 4 points away from being 2 losses against fired coaches.
Oh, they like Mike Elko, I guess. They didn't like Jimbo Fisher.
I'm not blaming the program. I'm blaming the bias of humans picking these playoff teams. We're fucking in the age of AI, and we still have old geriatric men choosing the playoff teams. Why? Holy shit!
Holtz. No,
but no, it's this men and women on this stupid committee that
who can be biased, who can be
biased when we could build an AI model that just does all this. That says we want to prioritize X, Y, Z at this and pull all these data sets. It could be pulling PFF grades, it could be playing player grades, it could be picking and just doing it. It could be and BCS on steroids.
Human experts, so to speak,
AI data scientists.
To make sure it's all skewed right.
It should be like the BCS on steroids. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
No humans involved.
Yeah.
Like why do we think it's okay? It's just a bunch of people in a room saying, they're playing really well down the stretch here. Let's go ahead with and they're the ADs. A lot of these people are ADs from the conference, from the schools? Why do we accept this? Why do we accept this?
Pull up that list sometime. I'll make a note to pull that up. I want to see who's on the committee.
And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We just accept that this. Once again, college football is unique in so many aspects. Unique in that we allow yearly free agency of all the players.
Who do these people on the committee? Who do they pay homage to? Who? You know what I'm saying? Who are they held responsible to?
Back to the schools their ADs at. I mean, that's the thing. It's inherent bias. College football is unique in so many ways in that these rules only apply to this sport because they wouldn't be allowed anywhere else. We're just too stupid to allow it. It's crazy. The media companies have too much influence on what happens because of the connections of Disney and SC.
We know the TV industry. And it will now. It's doing it now. It did it before. It's doing it now. And it's going to be the biggest gorilla in the room in every aspect. every aspect, especially as they continue to move down the road towards mega conferences, like
Yeah,
an NFL type model. That's where this shit's going.
It should be. It's already
Okay.
there. We're already
Okay.
paying the players.
Okay.
Just get
And-
over it.
And they might as well that's right.
It-
Because in the NFL, there's no committee who picks who goes into
No.
the playoffs. There is a formula. There's a formula of winning your way into the playoffs. That's
Yeah.
how it freaking goes.
college
okay?
is the only league in the world that allows something like this to happen.
Because that's why we're going to more conference games each year.
Yeah.
See, that way you get towards the NFL model because they're all considered to be equal. They're not playing, you're not Alabama playing Kent State or Tulsa at Southwest Arkansas or some bullshit like that. Everybody's considered equal. So if you get two mega conferences, everybody's playing within the conference. That's how you'll win your way into the playoffs. It'll take this human interaction shit out of there. If you're having a bad day, you know, like NFL teams have a bad year, right? They have bad years. There's certain teams like the Bears or the freaking Jets, you know, they never make the playoffs. Well, that's on them. Okay. You have to find a way to make your team better. All right. And as soon as they get to this mega conference, they're going to break this shit down just like the NFL. That's where they're going.
And I want to highlight this.
Is going.
SEC dog, they're undefeated, dumbass. Florida State was undefeated in 2023, but that doesn't matter. So I've learned that being undefeated doesn't mean shit unless you're a part of certain conferences. We were undefeated. We had big wins. Didn't matter. So being undefeated shouldn't matter unless you actually play quality opponents.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Sorry. So
That's
sorry. Undefeated doesn't mean anything to me. If I see a team that doesn't play anybody and they're undefeated, no, you shouldn't just automatically be number 3, dumbass. So sorry. That doesn't mean anything to me anymore.
I hope that's not your niece who goes to.
I don't give a shit who it is because that's a stupid statement. Because we've seen teams already be left out as number 5 for being undefeated. So don't give me that. Oh, they're undefeated. They have to be number 3. No, we've already seen that doesn't have to be the case anymore. So come with a better argument than that.
Since a majority of these games probably end up on ESPN and ABC, right? The playoffs. There could be argued a built-in bias for SEC teams.
There is, and it's
so,
not going to change unless everything gets formalized. And
I don't mean to laugh, but it's
sad. It's
crazy
just
shit.
It's just,
all right,
yeah.
All right. Let's move on to something else here for a minute. I want your take on this. Okay. This guy, I read this article. DB Tendarius Hughes decommits from FSU and flips to Syracuse. Now, this guy had long time been committed to Florida State. He's a four-star guy. And I'm trying to wrap my head around, besides obvious answers, of how this guy would want to go from Florida State to Syracuse. Okay, it's not like he's going from bad to good. He's going from bad to bad right now. Now there could be a multitude of reasons why this guy would flip, but obviously it came up on Tomahawk Nation, and it caught my attention as I go around and look at stuff out there, open source media, and I'm trying to figure it out. Was it a bigger bag of coin? Is it promise of starting right away? His grandmother lives down from the stadium. I don't know, but it's a little bit of a blow as a 4-star guy, because we're constantly signing a lot of 3-star guys, right? So any thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, I if you saw more about him and I mean, he was talking to people people tweeting at him, so it was stupid anyway, but this was his commitment picture. He was flashing, or someone put this was his commitment picture. He had cash in, he was flashing cash in the rival's commitment. Like, if that doesn't give it away, like what it is, like if there's $100 bills in a wash. So, like,
who put that? Oh, he put it up?
I mean, Rivals did.
It's from him.
Rivals. So this is his commitment photo. So I'm assuming he ran it past him. But that was his.
Oh,
I mean, when he was at Syracuse, they had him pose like this. I'm
well,
like,
okay.
I mean,
Fair
that's what it
enough.
comes down to.
Fair enough.
That's how you
Fair
get people
enough.
to flip from
Fair enough.
Florida State to Syracuse. It's money.
Hey, fair enough. That's the name of the game. The name of the game is cash. Somebody said that. I was listening to a bunch of programs. It might have been something, a national program of some sort. It wasn't Bud Elliott. But it's basically saying these kids, they were talking about our new facility and how great it is, how really nice it is. But they're saying anymore, it's not about the facilities as much anymore. No, wait a minute. It's not about the facilities as much anymore as if you don't bring a bag with you. If you don't bring a bag with you, the facility means shit. Okay? So how much more can you make these facilities? Do we add a lazy river and a Ferris wheel and the scrambler roller coaster? In the end, the players, listen, Nick Saban wouldn't have won all the games and be as famous as he would, or Bobby Bowden or any of these great coaches if they didn't have the players. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. It's talent acquisition and then development, which they were both very good at. And then in today's world, it's about bags and then probably facilities. But you got to bring the bags. Okay. But a lot of kids who truly love the game and truly believe they have the talent to go to the next level want to know, can you develop me to get to the next level? That is a very important thing. And for whatever reason, I think we're just using him as an example. I don't think he's going to make or break. Maybe he ends up as an all-pro in the NFL. Maybe he doesn't amount to anything, which a lot of these guys, how many guys have we brought in? 3, 4, 5 stars didn't amount to shit. So we don't pay a lot of attention to that. We get into them once they sign. We don't get into all this commitment.
Yeah,
crap.
I don't get mad at a high school kid for whatever, flipping or whatever. And they always say, I'm committed, and he just said something about he's committed to Florida State on August 30th, and now it's October or November, and he's already kids, just stop saying I'm 100% committed. You're not. Just admit, just say it's fluid. Like right now, this is where I'm headed.
Just be honest.
Be honest. And they're kids, so I'm not. Adults shouldn't be tweeting at kids like you're not loyal to.
Let's make sure now that we understand it's not only the kid, it's also the family or whoever his legal representatives are. I just saw something come across the news tonight that new rules have been just released on NIL in high school and junior high school. I just saw that. Now, I didn't read it yet.
Okay, then let's not talk about it if you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just telling you, that's where this shit's going.
Yeah.
I can see a kid in high school who would say he can't do that. That I don't think the courts would say he can't do that. And all of these changes have come through the courts. All of these changes. So very interesting. Okay, I got something else I want to throw up here.
And also, Florida State fans are gonna guys. People have been saying they want Norvell out. Do you expect kids to not decommit when you want the head coach gone?
Well, of course.
So don't be surprised when people decommit if you want the head coach gone. Like that's gonna happen a lot more especially if we lose.
There will be.
Everyone needs to relax around people decommitting if we want the coach.
It just seems like though I see that we and I guess a lot of teams do. I mean, that's right now we're in the top 20 in terms of the recruitment
It's too early
class,
just to look.
I'd like to see us focus more on four-star guys.
Once again, you're not going to get that when you are talking about firing your coach.
Probably not. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Okay, are we done with football, or we got anything else on football before I flip the script here?
No, done there.
Okay. Let me. No, we're not done with football yet. Okay. Now I told you that. We're getting a little over long. Okay.
Yeah. We need to wrap up.
And we'll do this through future programs too. I put together an extensive list of coaches that you should not expect to show up here. I believe Norvell will not be the coach in 2026. Here's some coaches quickly, and I'm not going to analyze, but do not expect them to show up and be the new coach at Florida State in 2026. Jimbo Fisher, not going to happen. That was too big of a divorce, and it's not going to happen. Lane Kiffin, if he goes anywhere, he's going to go to the University of Florida. LSU is trying to play in that card game a little bit. I don't think Lane Kiffin stays at Mississippi. I don't believe he can win a national championship at University of Mississippi. Brian Kelly, he's unemployed by LSU recently. He's not coming to Florida State. He doesn't fit well in the South. Look at the best coaches we've had at Florida State so far. The best coaches. Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher. They both could talk the country, Southern style type guys. They both came out of West Virginia area. You know, they understood how to connect, and they were both really good recruiters. Brian Kelly doesn't fit here. I'm going to do two more on my list here, and I'll save the rest for coming weeks. Ryan Day, number 1 Ohio State. Why the hell would he leave that?
Wait, who's saying Ryan Day?
I'm just saying, don't expect to see this. Just don't expect. These are my observations.
I think you're just making up names now.
I'm not making up names.
The coach at the number 1 school in the country is going to believe.
But he hasn't signed any extensions yet, has he?
Yeah.
Okay. But he'll get one.
Why would he?
And then the guy who I think he just got an extension, Kurt Cignati, who from James Madison cut his teeth, has got Indiana number 2 and just got an extension, and rightfully so. But and it was a big one. It was a good size one. It's incredible what these guys. But don't expect to see any of those. I'm gonna end my list there right now. I'm gonna end my list right now, and then I'll come back on our next show and have some more. All right.
Well, thank you for letting us know that the top 2 coaches in college football will not be coming to Florida State. Thank you for clearing up that misconception for us tonight. Especially Ryan Day. Especially for Ryan Day.
Okay. Now, let me.
Awesome.
You got anything else for football? I'm going to switch over. All right.
No.
I'm going to switch over, and here's the next biggest thing right there. Thank you, Tomahawk Nation. Florida State dominates Alcorn State, which was this is right now first game victory for Luke Laux. He got his number 1 victory for Florida State as head coach. And good for him. Good for him. He just looks like a real nice guy. He's a young guy, brings enthusiasm to the program. He's got a hell of a lot of new guys on his team. They're mostly all portal guys. Got a good guy from Paris, France. What the hell is his name? I forget his name. But he's really an exciting player. He's a freshman. I think if you can get out to a game, get out there. You can get in for under $10. You know you can't get a better ticket than that to see some good quality ACC games coming up. Now, their biggest test is coming up against the University of Florida, and that's going to be at Gainesville, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks. So they're going to have a few games under their belt. I think they may play tomorrow night again. Good game. You can go on YouTube and listen to the official Florida State announcers and just listen to the game if you'd like as well. And those guys are good. They make a good call on the game.
That is his first.
And I recommend that. The other thing is I've already booked my tickets to see Florida State versus Texas A&M down in Tampa right after Thanksgiving. So I'm excited to go see the Noles play there in Tampa. The old man will be there. Maybe I can do some live stuff or something.
There you go.
We'll see. Unless my shopping cart goes missing again.
Yeah.
Maybe it's me. What else you got, KB?
Yeah, no, I got to watch some of that game last night. And yeah, I thought it looked good. It's definitely going to be anyone who hasn't watched Florida State basketball in a while or got tired of watching just tall 7-footers run around the court and not score. It's definitely going to be a good change of pace. It's a very offensive focused team. They got a lot of playmakers, guys that can stretch the floor, shoot the three. Lot of both the young guys and veteran guys. You got a real point guard. It seems like the kid out of Jacksonville University, I believe it is. He looked really good. You got a kid out of Clemson, a good veteran player.
Rob McCray.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Rob McCray had 17 assists, which is a new record. He is good, and this team needed that type of guy. He's got to stay healthy.
Yeah, he eclipsed, I believe, Blaux's record, season record. So, which is cool. But that kid is, he's going to be a really good point guard if he stays healthy, which hopefully he will. He's got a real great ball handler, especially for a team of mix of young talent and veteran guys. Is really good. Like I said, he came from Jacksonville, so that was a really good pickup. But everyone on this team can shoot, it looks like.
And there's a couple other guys. You got Chauncey Wiggins, who came in from Clemson. He's a transfer. He is a legit shooter. And they've asked him to do more rebounding, which he had 5 or 6 the other night. They think he can get 7 or 8. He is really putting on a performance because he's likely to be on a draft board in the NBA. He really is. He's that good. And
the issue with this team is going to be defense. They struggled in the exhibition in the defense against Alabama. They struggled last night with their defense. So this is going to be a team that plays a lot of shootouts. I mean, they gave up almost 80 plus points against Alcorn State, which probably not going to be a great team in the SWAC. Competitive, but not great. And ACC is a lot better than the SWAC. So, you're going to have a lot. It'll be interesting to see how they adjust. Can they keep up this pace in ACC play? And can that offense translate? Because if they're not shooting hot from outside, they shot really hot from outside last night. Are they able to establish a consistent inside game? They were able to score inside the paint last night, but they don't have
they don't have a big man. They don't have they have some tall guys, but they don't have this dominant type big man situation. So they're going to go small and they're going to run hard, fast a lot.
Yeah. So I don't see this is a team that I think will be a dramatically improved win-loss team from last year, but I think they'll be much more entertaining to watch.
I think it would be,
I don't think they're going to be top 10 seed in the tournament or anything, but I think they'll be competitive, but they'll still have their struggles as they rebuild this. And he's got a great recruiting class. He's got a really good recruiting class that he's going to look to close in November here. I think it's a top 5 or top 10 class and top 4 in the ACC potentially. That if he can close that out, it'll be a really good building block for the future too.
I think if he can get to 500 in the ACC, I think that's a great first year. It would be nice if he can get to an end of regular season tournament. The guy I was trying to think of is a guy named, he's a freshman. He's from Paris, France, Thomas Bassong. This guy has really good potential. Bassong he played a lot of minutes, and he's a very good player. He's a guy to keep an eye on. McCray, we already talked about. He's an excellent point guard. He's got to stay healthy for this team. Kobe McGee, he played well. I want to watch a lot of these games or listen to him. Watch or listen to a lot of these games. I think he's got these guys playing well. It's going to be very interesting to see as they get into ACC play, which is going to be pretty quick. But they do have a big meeting coming up here in a couple weeks with the Florida Gators in Gainesville. Florida Gators are the defending national champs, and they got beat the other night. Who'd they lose to? Forget who they lost to. But they got upset, and so it's going to be very, very interesting season there. So,
all right, yeah. So be sure to tune in, and we'll be sure to give you updates as we can there. Anything else you want to discuss before we let everyone go?
I think I covered every note that I had here. Anything else? I haven't seen anything else on the radar. I'm always scanning all the media, open source, all types of stuff. Right now, I think everybody's holding their breath for a good game Saturday night, KB, with the team and Norvell. It seems like everybody's. It's either Norvell's going to get fired or it's game by game now. If the team stays competitive, he could survive this. I don't think so, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Other than that, injury reports, availability release comes out tomorrow. But right now, you were talking about Pettis. They're keeping that kind of close hold. Tommy, the same thing. I think both those guys will be game time decisions. Tommy's probably going to play. He's going to start. Haven't heard anything bad about him. But the last thing about football is and I have him on my list, but I didn't bring it up tonight, is Ed Orgeron. He wants to come back and coach football.
Yeah, well,
Ed Orgeron, let me just say this,
dirt.
and you can say, and then we'll close this out. Ed Orgeron is the old school classic tough guy football coach. He really is, and I think he has. He's won a national championship. He's won an SEC and blah blah blah, but he is not going to come to Florida State. And the reason you just mentioned, and you can elaborate on it, is he's got a lot of dirty laundry, almost too much to bring into this setting at Florida State. So he's on my not coming to Florida State. Your thoughts?
No, I think, people, over time, people can say things disappear or dirty laundry can be let go and da da da. But that there would be significant dirty laundry that goes in. Now, could he be assistant somewhere? Probably.
I was going to ask you that. Would you see him as acceptable as an assistant head coach or as a defensive line coach at Florida State? How would you feel that you think the fans would feel about that? And I love this. Mark Dorfman, these guys aren't going to be coaching either. Okay. And you stole one, Mark. Bobby Bowden is the last one on my list.
Yeah. It's only been 4 years for him. Like I said, he doesn't need the money either.
No.
It would be, you would have to weigh, does he add more to our program than it's worth for the risk of us having to deal with the media
The
attention from
notoriety.
it? Yeah. So if you're like, this is going to absolutely add to our recruiting, development, and our PR and HR teams can handle the negative stuff that's going to come with this. Is it worth the trade-off? Probably not, but maybe for a smaller school, maybe for an up-and-coming program like a Sacramento State or, some program that's building
New
and
Mexico
building.
State.
Yeah, maybe for one of those that's looking to build and recruit and get to the next level. Yeah, maybe for them, and that's where his first stop is, and those schools will take the first blow of that and get over it, and then he goes to another program. I think he needs one of those stops before he goes to a major.
Yeah,
program.
I think he deserves the opportunity.
I don't know. Deserve is the right word.
Well, no, he didn't do anything criminal. He wasn't.
He allegedly covered up.
Well, allegedly. That's allegedly means nothing.
Covering up a crime or not reporting a crime.
We don't know anything about that. We don't know
allegedly
anything about that. No,
that's why he was let go. That's why he was let go.
Well,
and that's why I'm saying
I
allegedly.
don't know. I didn't do an investigation. I didn't.
Then why
you
need to read into it? You need to read into it.
I don't need to. I don't have the time to.
You have time. You're retired. You have time to do this.
I'm sorry. I just sit around like this.
Yeah. I wish you would. Before our show, I wish you would. I wish you actually would do that.
What the hell is all this shit?
He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time, though. He doesn't have time, though. I don't know. Because you don't have time to look into the topics, apparently.
No, I don't.
You don't have time to look into Ed Orgeron's history.
I think he deserves an opportunity.
I don't like the word deserve. Okay? Nobody deserves anything.
Nobody likes these divorces
nobody deserves anything.
Have. That's why they hated Jimbo. Now everybody's saying, "Oh, Jimbo would be fine. We could bring him back as a stopgap."
Deserve is the wrong word.
Well, no, I think he deserves an opportunity. People people aren't perfect. Okay, none of us are perfect. All right.
Okay.
All right. Best
maybe
of luck.
Maybe OJ deserves a second chance too.
He wasn't convicted of anything.
No, true. Did he deserve another shot at? Would you have hired him on your coaching staff?
Another shot of dating someone?
No. He was a football player.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
if you're dating someone these days, you can look them up online for $1. You can get a whole background investigation done on somebody for $1. You know?
Oh gosh, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Ed's an interesting case because I
And
do
here
think
we
he
go. Dorfman's got it up there again. He's putting them up. Come on, Dorfman. What are you doing to me here? What the hell are you doing? Are you crazy?
But
What are you doing?
what is going on? Okay, what are these sounds you're playing?
Dorfman's doing this.
Oh,
He's
okay.
hijacked our system here.
But yeah, Ed's an interesting case. Like I said, allegedly things why he was let go for LSU. He was also let go because he wasn't winning anymore. But I think he'll be landing.
Well,
as
you know
assistant.
what? That's what I heard these guys say. These guys were LSU guys that were talking about all of this week, and I kind of ran into it. You know what they said? Well, all of this stuff would have been kind of, swept under the carpet if he was still winning.
Yeah. I mean,
And as they said, winning cures a lot of things. Winning cures a lot of things. And that's why I go back to this is a very big Saturday night for Dabo Swinney. I think it's bigger for him than it is for Mike.
Yeah.
I really do. But it's a big game for both. And Mike at the conference today looked stressed. He looked stressed. All right.
he's looked stressed for the last several weeks.
And these games, well, who we got left? We got Clemson on the road,
Florida,
NC
Virginia
State
Tech,
on the road.
Friday night.
Virginia Tech
Yeah.
is not going to be an issue. And then the Gators on the road. And people are still thinking, some of the quote experts, that we're going to go to a bowl game. We're going to get those 2 wins that we need. Who would you pick out of those games? Virginia Tech is one. So you're going to need to get one more from Clemson, NC State, or the Gators.
Virginia Tech. Outside
No,
of Virginia Tech.
Tech is one. You need one more besides that. You need 2 victories
It would have to be NC State, even though that's probably the toughest.
on the road.
Yeah,
on the
that's
road.
But
Yeah.
Florida's defense is probably the best of the.
It's going to come down to some exciting times to get to that Pop-Tart Bowl. Okay?
Yeah, and if Clemson wants to fire Dabo, 60 million is the number. So let's just remember that.
No, listen.
That's
Just like that somebody was saying that's why Lane Kiffin probably won't go. This is a national person. I can't even remember who the hell it was. Probably won't go to LSU because of the politics down there. Christ, the governor got into it down there.
well, they don't
The
have an AD,
governor
a
got on
president.
the AD. Gee.
Well, they don't have an AD. They don't have a president, AD, or heck, they don't
They
have.
have an AD. They had that. I thought his name was Woodward.
I think he got fired. I don't think he have an
not
AD.
fired yet. No. No. But he was the same guy, Scott Woodward, I think it is. He was the same guy that hired Jimbo
Yeah.
Fisher at Texas A&M.
No, they have an interim AD. Yeah, they have an interim AD. I told
What
you.
happened to Woodward?
I told you, you got fired.
What, this week?
Yes. As of 5 days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Verge Osbury
There's who Florida
has been
lost
given.
in basketball.
Verge Osbury has been given the full authority to hire the LSU's
Thanks,
next
Goat.
coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Governor Landry told that Woodward wouldn't be involved, and yeah, he's
There's a
been let
lot
go.
of shit. And I have to say this, then we're going to get out of here. We could be here all night. We could do a marathon.
Okay, no,
Let's
no,
do like
let's
a
just- no.
marathon some
Okay,
night.
No, I want to
Hey,
go.
marathon for charity. How about
No,
that?
no,
That'd be
I'm good.
Listen, now I forgot what the hell I was going to say. Oh, I know what it is. This whole thing, and the national experts now, not local press media, the national big talking head guys, they agree too that this thing of these college coaches and how much money they're making and how much these universities are shelling out on these things is bizarre. It
I told
is
you that.
it
We've
it
discussed
has
this.
to it has somebody has to step forward. Okay, let's take Florida
We've
State.
talked about this. We've
And they have
talked
to
about
say,
this.
they have to make a statement. Some major university has to set the stage and say, no, we're done.
Are we
We'll
living
bring you
in
in.
Lululand?
No, wait.
I said
Wait a
this. They
minute.
have to make a
Wait a
line.
minute.
We've
Yeah,
talked about
and
this.
no, and we're going to bring in on a base contract
No.
to 8 million base and very good incentives. If you win so many games, you get extra. If you win the conference championship, you get extra. If you go to the playoffs, you get extra. If you win a playoff games, you get more. You know, that's how a lot of the contracts in the
It
NFL
only
are set.
works if the conferences make a pact with each other that says, I don't give a shit what Jimmy Sexton's offering you. We will only offer our coaches in our conferences this structure moving forward. It has to be a pact amongst the conferences. And basically, the agents out. They have to make a pact and agree, this is our structures moving forward. That's the only way it works. It can't just be one school saying, hey, coach, this is your new structure of incentives, because that coach will go somewhere else where that's not offered that. That's what the conferences have to come together and agree to that.
Well,
that's the only way it works.
If they build 2 mega conferences, everybody outside of those mega conferences will probably go to something like that. They just won't have the money to.
Well, the G5 is not going to exist because notice in the top 25 rankings, there's not one G5 team.
What do I tell my friend who loves UConn about? He thinks they're a good football.
What about JMU?
Yeah,
that's 7-1 or 7-0 right now. They're not even listed.
They don't play anybody.
I showed you Texas A&M schedule. Who do they play? They're number 3.
George Mason's listed at number 32.
Yeah,
they don't even have a team. They have a club team.
Like, there's a 3-loss team in the top 25. Like, what are we doing?
All right, let's switch the subject.
No, we're done. We're done.
The GOAT. What's going on with the Seminole tribe linking up with Florida State for some naming rights? Very good question. I'm monitoring that. Absolutely nothing that's been released, nothing that's been leaked, and there are no known sources who are willing to give up that information. Now, the Spanx lady was at the stadium Saturday night. You know Spanx. It's that kind of like what back in the days of my parents, my mother had this thing called a not a garter.
Okay, we know what it's spandex. It's just spandex.
No, it wasn't. But she invented these spandex to hold your waist in, I guess for men and women. I don't have that problem. See, I got good abs.
God,
see?
please,
I got nice
please,
abs.
I
don't have a problem. And I don't have a problem showing it. Okay. I've had a couple of softballs hit me in the stomach too in the last couple of weeks. Okay. When I'm competing. Okay. And I don't quit. Now, she was at the stadium, but people don't think she gives a shit too much about athletics, but they had her in the special seats. They brought her brought her son down to be in the locker room afterwards when they were breaking the rock and all that. They're hoping she might write a little check. She does write some checks to the College of Business, I think it is, but she was definitely being paraded around. So, but at this point, we don't know anything. But I do believe, GOAT, that it is going to happen because they need to create revenue. I think other things on jerseys is going to happen for NIL and other reasons. It's going to be very interesting. It's about raising money.
And please just don't call it Spank Stadium, because anytime Florida State loses, they'll say Florida Seminoles got spanked at Spank Stadium. Yeah, we cannot rename the stadium that, for the love of God.
I thought she had sold that company to someone.
She did, but she made like $1 billion off of it. So she's liquid.
Okay.
She should be
and
liquid.
She originally showed that on Shark Tank, which is, I love that show. Yeah, it was on Shark Tank. Yeah, look it up.
I don't know what Spanx was. I don't know.
Yes, it was. Look it up. I'm telling you. Okay, we're not going to go off the air till we look it up.
Yeah, I'm not looking it up.
Wait, you don't want me to look it up?
Final thing is, if people don't believe SEC bias exists, remember that Tennessee with 3 losses is ranked in the college football playoffs at number 25.
Who? Tennessee.
Tennessee is with 3 losses.
It's ridiculous.
3 losses.
Yeah, ridiculous.
They have not. Their last 3 wins are against Kentucky. What is Kentucky's record? 3-5.
Nobody. I know.
What is Arkansas's record?
No, it's
2-7.
Yeah,
and what is Mississippi State's record? 5-4, and they beat them in overtime.
Kentucky fired their coach.
This is why when the SEC guy in our chat calls me a dumbass because of SEC bias, I'm not. SEC is so great.
Hey, don't take it personal.
This team with 3, I'm not taking it personally. I'm giving him a reality check. This team with 3 losses, I don't give a fuck. This team with 3 losses is ranked above any G5 team that may be undefeated. So it's not about schedules. It's not about wins and losses. It's bias. Tennessee in no and no model should be ranked right now. None.
I'd
I'd rather 25 be blank than Tennessee be ranked. It should just be blank. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no argument for this.
Point.
There's no argument for this.
There you go. There you go. You make a good point. You make a very good point. Very good point. Yeah, there will be a lot to talk about when the final playoff rankings come out, and there's like 6 SEC teams. No, remember that's been predicted. How many of the Big Ten are going to get, and how many of the SEC? That'll show you. Those are the 2 mega conferences. And Florida State, the best thing they can still do in their list of priorities is get out of the ACC and get to one of those 2 conferences. Period.
It's just a mess. All right, that's gonna do it. So thank you all for coming out. We appreciate your time. Appreciate your. Okay, all right, stop. You gotta stop with the stupid noises. Thank you all for coming out. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the comments. Join us on Saturday post game against Clemson. Hopefully, we're coming out with a W, but it will be a close game. So
Please
thank you all.
hit that comment, subscribe, thumb button, whatever order you want to. But that way, you get notified of the shows coming out, and we love you guys. We do.
I don't know if I love it.
KB's a little irritated. Came in a good mood. He's irritated as shit now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for coming out. We appreciate the time. Have a great rest of your week. Okay.
Good job.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Go Knowles.
All right, guys.
Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take, it's blue.